It's 1:21 a.m. in an overrunning sewer in the bowels of Los Angeles. And you're listening to Night Call.
Hello and welcome to Night Call, a podcast for your strange days and lonely nights. My name is Emily Yoshida. I am in Los Angeles.
Woo, woo,
and
woo.
with me, not on the other end of the line, but in front of my own goddamn face, I have
Molly Lambert. And sitting across from Emily and I,
hello, it's Tess Lynch, of course.
Meat Space.
Meat Space. Welcome back.
We're
Both
back.
of you. I have been here, as I generally am, in Los Angeles.
Tess and I have been
But
jet-setting.
Emily, you and Tess have been on jet-setting journeys. Emily, why don't you tell us about your journey to Sundance?
I was at the Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah. It was actually like the chillest time I've had there because I wasn't drinking. And so thus was not really going to that many parties, and also had an express pass, so I could just like waltz into movies. I mean, like, it's not a humble brag; it's a brag bag. And the only reason I'm bragging about it is because I don't know if any like film Twitter people.
It's like the
listening.
Disneyland fast pass of film Twitter.
Kind of, but it's specifically political this year because, like, famous troll of film Twitter, Jeff Wells, there was a kerfuffle a couple months ago because his long-standing accreditation and express pass were revoked. Do you guys know who he is?
Yeah,
No.
he's like an idiot.
He's a crazy person.
Okay.
He's like a racist.
Yeah, and he's just an absurd human being. But he kind of is one of these people he started off in the trades and now he has his own blog and he just goes to all these festivals. Everybody will just like welcome him with open arms, and it's just completely unclear why, because he's kind of like a senile dinosaur.
Are people like afraid of him? Is that why?
No idea. I think it's just like old time's sake. Like,
What happens when film Twitter congregates in Meat Space? Karaoke.
there's a lot of like, oh, that's what you look like. Like, we're very a post-body crowd. But I did get to meet like several people that I had not met before, like, you know, just sitting waiting for the movies. So that was fun. But
See some good movies?
yeah, I saw a couple good movies. Emily's Movie Corner. I saw a lot of movies, and I didn't get to see the ones I was most excited to talk about here because I didn't get to see Penny Lane's Church of or like Satanic Church.
Oh, we love Penny Lane. Penny Lane, come on Night Call.
Yeah,
please.
I know.
Penny
She's
Lane is
so
a documentary
cool.
director who makes all the best documentaries. that we
Yeah, that one I really wanted to see. Hopefully, I'll get to like maybe see it on a screener later or something. But it was called Hail Satan, and I heard very good things about it. Probably my favorite as far as Night Call picks goes would be a movie called We Are Little Zombies. It's from Japan, and it's just a completely bananas thing about these kids who they all lose their parents in various incidents and accidents, and then they decide to form a band to help them refine their emotions. It's like stylistically totally insane. Like, every scene is shot a different way, and there's a song in it that they sing that has been stuck in my head pretty much since the day I saw the movie. It's very good, and it doesn't have any distribution yet, but hopefully it will. But I was like comparing it to The Lure, which, have you guys seen that
the
movie?
mermaid horror
It's the
movie?
mermaid
Yeah.
one. Yeah. You guys have to see The Lure. The Lure is bananas. But that, when I saw that at Sundance the year it was there, it was one of these things where I was like, I can't believe this is here. Like, in between the bittersweet family dramas and coming of age stories, there's this completely insane vampire musical, like vampire mermaid musical. And that's kind of how
a
Little
musical?
Zombies felt. Yeah. Ooh. It's a full-on musical. It takes place in the 80s at like a nightclub, and
they're vampire mermaids?
Yeah, well, they eat men.
Okay, nice. Wait, so they're like sirens.
Yes.
Yeah, they are. And,
Speaking of horror
yeah.
and things that eat people.
And Sundance. Velvet Bizzsaw, man.
Velvet Bizzsaw.
Did you guys watch it?
I watched it. Tess has not had the chance to watch it yet. And
I just got back.
I
just got back.
She knows nothing about it.
No.
So I was like...
We got a picture on
We got a
Velvet
picture on
Bizzsaw.
it.
I was quite excited to see this one, even though, sometimes it's like you get very excited to see a movie at Sundance, and especially recently, and then it comes out like a week before. Oh, it's on Netflix. It's going to be out on Netflix like next week. So there's just that kind of like, oh, do I really need to go see it out here? But I did. I went to like the first showing because I was stoked, and it's like Jake Gyllenhaal is in his like weird period right now, or his
Nick
like,
Cage period is what I said.
Yeah, he's like fast forwarding to Nick Cage zone.
Well, Nightcrawler was a real
that was kind of the beginning of it, I think. And that was Dan Gilroy who directed Velvet Bizzsaw, which is like an art world horror satire,
an LA art world horror satire.
Okay,
about evil paintings that kill people.
That sounds so good.
Here, let me pitch it to you even better.
Please.
You can watch it on Netflix at home.
There we go. Yeah. I am sold.
I watched it last night.
Yeah.
After Emily and
Our
I
Wee Spa adventure.
had a Wee Spa adventure.
More on that later.
And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, especially because I was watching it at home. And
As movies are meant to be watched.
I mean, the thing about it is it's very hard to parody the art world because it is so ridiculous.
Right. Yeah.
Especially the LA art world. I was like, some of these things are crazy, but like not crazier than anything that I've actually been to.
Yeah.
That's like this.
Yeah. I think the most fun that Gilroy has with it, and the actors too, is like the looks of people. Like it's just heightened. Like Toni Colette especially.
Toni Colette, Scream Queen Toni Colette.
Yes.
makes an appearance as like a rich art gallery lady.
She's like, she was a curator at a museum, but then she got a job like being an art advisor for some wealthy buyer.
Rich people.
So suddenly she's like swimming in the money and is like,
And they talk about like, oh, the rich people like have these paintings that like nobody even ever sees because they're just in crates. And like,
yeah.
She's like, I used to think that was bad, but now I'm like, who cares? Give me that money.
As long as I get paid along the way.
And
those are not the pictures that kill people, though.
No.
And Renee Russo is in it. Everybody has a great character name. A lot
the
of
names are bananas in it. Toni Collette's name is Gretchen, I think, but Renee Russo is Redora Hayes.
So they're all anagrams,
Jake
obviously.
Gyllenhaal's character's name is Morph.
Morph Van de Walt.
Which is what sold me on this movie, was that his name is Morph.
MORF.
Okay.
There's somebody named like John Don Don.
Yeah, John Don Don. That's Tom Sturridge plays John Don Don.
Today's episode of Night Call is brought to you by Rothy's Shoes. Stylish, sustainable, and comfortable enough for everyday wear anywhere. Rothy's, a flat made from water bottles, they've recycled almost 20 million bottles, are the most comfortable shoes ever. They're flexible, breathable, they're super cute. They come in 4 styles, the flat, the point, the loafer, and the sneaker, and they're available in both women's and girls' sizes. They have a great selection of colors and patterns, and new ones arrive every few weeks. Another great thing about Rothy's is that you can wash them. So we all got pairs of Rothy's to try out, and they're so I love them. I've gotten a ton of compliments. I have the yellow flats.
They're super comfy.
They're so comfy.
Yeah.
And you can throw them in the washing machine, which I am about to do.
Yeah, I wish I could wash all my shoes.
I know. Well, I think you can wash other shoes, but I'm like there's so many components. These are I actually believe you can wash them.
They're so streamlined that it feels possible.
Yes.
And they keep their shape too.
They keep their shape. They're also really, really breathable. They just kind of feel like socks. And I brought them to DC on my trip recently, and I wore them in the airport. They're kind of the perfect shoe to bring on a plane because they are so light and tiny. They're just great. I love my Rothy's. I know you will too. Right now, Rothy's has an amazing deal for our listeners. You can use code NIGHTCALL, all one word, to get free shipping with no minimum. Free shipping and free returns exchanges on your Rothy's shoe, and you probably won't return them because they're awesome. So you go to rothys.com, ROTHYS.com, and enter NIGHTCALL, NIGHTCALL, to get your new favorite flats and free shipping. It's a no-brainer. They're shoes that are comfortable, stylish, and sustainable, and free shipping. Go get yourself a pair today. Rothys.com, promo NIGHTCALL. Get this deal while it lasts.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. There were things, many nitpicky things about it.
Well, it makes its point with like a sledgehammer, and then it keeps banging the sledgehammer.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that also legendary character actor Dick Miller just passed away. R.I.P. Dick Miller.
R.I.P.
beloved star of Gremlins, but he was in a bunch of Roger Corman movies, including this movie A Bucket of Blood, which is like a 50s horror movie about a beatnik coffee shop guy who accidentally kills somebody and then like covers them in concrete and becomes like a super hip artist because of it.
Ooh, it's like House of Wax.
Yeah, it's like House of Wax, but it's just like it's like an art world parody where it's like then he has to kill more people to make more sculptures.
As one does.
As one does. And his character's name is like Marvin Paisley or something. It's very spiritually related to this movie.
Marvin Paisley.
This movie's silly. My only complaint is I wish Jake Gyllenhaal had gone even more Nick Cage-y with it. It was a little more restrained than I expected.
Right.
But don't you have to save some of that for later?
Well, he did
Even Nick Cage didn't go full Nick Cage.
No, but he's already gone full Nick Cage for Okja.
And in Nightcrawler. I feel like in Nightcrawler, too, I was just like, oh, you're just like, be a weird character actor.
Well, I interviewed Dan Gilroy last week. You can find my review of the film and my interview with Dan Gilroy on vulture.com. But I asked him, just about how much of this character was what you wrote and how much was what Jake brought to the table. And like the stuff that Jake brought to the table was apparently like, he needs to ride like a Mini Cooper Clubman. Like he had the car specifically that he drove, and then he had a flip phone. And the quote was something like, I like tradition, and Morph is a traditionalist. He has a flip phone.
The old tradition of flipping the phone.
He's playing a character who is based on Jerry Saltz, the New York Magazine art critic.
I don't know. I mean, he's based on Jerry Saltz maybe as far as like the influence that Jerry Saltz wields. Like I was actually just recently, because I had to review Welcome to Marwen, I was going back and like looking at all
Speaking
of the
of
coverage.
outsider art.
Yeah. Well, so like that was like a big outsider art story where like suddenly this was like the biggest thing happening in the art world. And Jerry Saltz was actually a really big part of that. Like he wrote about it in The Voice.
So what you're saying is that Velvet Buzzsaw is in the Marwen verse?
Yeah, I mean, it is about like a guy with a tragic backstory who has these cursed paintings.
To pitch it
basically.
to you, they like find a dead guy's paintings and turn him into an art world star.
And his name is also ridiculous,
and his name is also silly. And then the paintings turn out to be haunted.
And they kill everybody who seeks to profit off of his work.
Yes.
So anybody who like is trying to make money off of his art. But like through other artwork, though, it's not through the paintings themselves. The paintings themselves, they just like hallucinate that they're bleeding. Mm-hmm. But then they get eaten by other artwork. So like Toni Colette gets eaten by like this giant orb, and which is actually the best scene on the whole movie.
Yes,
and
is.
Dan Gilroy told me that she screamed so loud that she couldn't hear when they had called cut.
Whoa.
Like they had to go
is
up
the best
to her.
scene in the movie for
I love
sure.
Toni Colette.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, I mean, it basically, not to spoil it, spoiler alert, it builds up to a bunch of big set pieces of people getting killed off by
That's
like,
all that you're there for.
Yeah.
Sculptures, which just really opens up the possibilities of like other sculptures that could kill people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What would you like to be killed by the most?
Honestly, that LACMA, outside of LACMA, there's that giant suspended boulder over the walkway.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I'm always just like waiting. It's just going to happen.
That's like even more murdery than anything in the movie.
Very brutalist. Yeah.
It would be kind of cool to be like killed by a Sarah, like to just be like buried or like entombed.
Oh, that's a scary idea.
Yeah.
There's a part, I mean, I won't go too into spoilers, but it's a lot of, you know, if you've ever been in a gallery and been like, that thing looks like it's kind of dangerous in a weird way.
Uh-huh.
This is the movie for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's very...
I'm sold, man.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Enjoy. A Night Called Delight.
Oh, you know what would be a really good thing to be in a horror movie? I think it's a Dia Beacon, but there are these, I forget who does them, but they're these holes that are in the ground, and they cordon it off so you can't walk up close enough to see the bottom of the hole. So it just looks like it could be an endless hole.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would go die in.
There's also those like Clive Oldenburg, like, was that who it was who did the floor burger and stuff?
Oh, you know what?
Those look like they could kill you.
I actually went to an art installation once that killed somebody.
Oh, no.
Really?
Now that I think about it. Yes.
Okay.
What was
now
the
it's
art
not funny
installation?
anymore.
It It was the umbrellas on the Christo umbrellas.
Oh, yeah. Wait. Oh, right.
Did
Right?
those kill somebody?
Yeah. Like,
didn't hear
I have like the vaguest memory
There,
of
the
this.
Christo umbrellas, there were some in, I think, Japan, and then in California, there were like blue ones in Japan and yellow ones in California. And it was like we were on a road trip and we like stopped and saw them, but it was like the crazy stormy day. And we left because it was so windy. And then later that day, one of them like fell on somebody
Oh my god.
and killed them.
No
Killer
thanks.
art.
Hey, speaking of things that can kill you, can I tell you guys that I took a plane trip?
Hey, congratulations!
No big deal. No big deal. Hold the applause. Okay. Please clap.
No gremlin on the
Please
wing.
clap.
No, this was my first plane trip actually I took one to New York, but I'm terrified. I really hate to fly. But it was really great. I flew Alaska Airlines, and before we started recording, I was like just saying how much I enjoyed my Alaska Airlines
we were
flights. They're not even sponsoring us, but
We
they
were saying
should.
too last week, we were talking about the glory of Golden Age air travel
Yes.
as
Yeah.
described by people who
Mostly our parents.
mostly our parents.
Right.
And then a night caller very generously, should I say who it is? Hold on.
Well, they sent
Maybe I
us a really good.
We got some pictures,
I took umbrage with the idea that planes have staircases inside of them.
but they did.
and then
did.
they
They
provided
still
photo
do.
evidence. That
I've
I've been on one that has a staircase.
Oh, whoa, fancy.
Well,
Emily.
but I didn't get to go up the staircase. It was like you have to. I don't know.
What was upstairs?
I think I was on a KLM flight that had the lounge
They're
upstairs.
so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got sent these pictures of the stairs, so now that I know that my parents didn't invent those, that's nice. But I went to DC and it snowed, which was awesome. But also, outside of my hotel, which was it was like pretty close to the White House area. I don't know. There was this little park with nothing in it really, but there was this guy. We had to pass through the park. We were going to a museum, and there was this guy who was surrounded by pigeons and squirrels. And we were like, oh, he must just be throwing birdseed on the ground. And then we saw that all of the pigeons would come up to him and climb up his body. And so he was like covered in pigeons. He had peanuts like in the shell that he would crush. And then all of these peanuts would come and squirrels would come hang out on his shoulder. And I went over and I was like, can I get in on this? And I did get in on it.
Yeah.
And so I got to be covered in pigeons.
Oh my!
there-
That's my
Amazing.
nightmare.
Are there
That was amazing.
pictures?
Speaking
I know.
of nightmares,
yes, there's pictures.
Oh, please send.
I put some on my Instagram. My kids got to hold the pigeons. My husband got to hold the My husband, singular, got to hold the pigeons.
my husband's
And I got to hold a squirrel.
my
And
husband's the pigeons.
my avian husband. It was amazing. Although it was
If you
weird.
let the birds cover you, you're all married now.
It's true,
You're married
yeah,
to the birds.
as is customary in my culture. But yeah, it was awesome. Even though growing up in New York, it was like that's just everyone's like, "Are you crazy?"
You broke the pigeon taboo.
Yeah, I did. I was wearing gloves. It was cold.
Yeah, it was
So it's
falconry.
fine.
You were covered.
Yeah, I
They
was
didn't
covered.
touch
What
your
about-
bare skin.
What about your hair?
They were in there.
No, that's
They
not
got in there.
No.
Hitchcock was there.
I'm not going to repeat right now my nightmare about pigeons, which happened to me.
Oh no! Wait, tell me.
I mean, but it's not. It's just gross. It's not like Baroque. It's just that in Rome when I was a teenager, my mom was staying there working on she was like doing her dissertation. So we had this apartment, and near the end of our stay, we were just like, we kept getting these little tiny bites and stuff, and then we realized that there were these like mites that came into the apartment, and they came in because the pigeons were like roosting outside the bathroom window. They were so tiny we couldn't see them, but as soon as you like looked closer,
Bird mites.
you could just see all the little mites.
We know all about bird mites.
We know about bird
no.
I had some
It's so
pigeons
nasty.
roost on my back porch, and I thought they were really cute until
No.
I looked it up and learned about bird mites.
They're
and
covered
then
in lice.
I thought that I like got super just hypochondriac that I had bird mites, and I was telling Tess that I was like reading the internet a lot to learn about like what were the symptoms, and that there were definitely some people who really had it, but there were also some people who had crystal meth psychosis.
Yeah, and they thought their skin. It was like
The symptoms were so similar
Yeah.
that
Pigment
it was
the skin.
like people were like, well, I'm like feel itchy all the time, and
Oh my god.
I figured that I'd been on a plane, so I'd already done the scariest thing in the world. So I
Yeah.
was like, I'm going to go for it. But also, it was freezing cold. And I think like later when
I
I was like,
respect
was
it.
that smart, Tess? I was like, but it
YOLO.
was so cold that probably all the parasites were dormant.
I love that theory.
Yeah. The freeze
There has
the
to be
bugs
something
off.
about being cold that's
It's
good.
their yearly cleanse.
8, 5, 12, 12, 15.
Today's episode of Night Call is brought to you by Zola. Zola is the easiest way to plan your wedding and registry all on one site. You can also send out invitations. It makes planning a wedding really, really easy and simple. You can conveniently manage everything online and in one place, and it saves so much time because planning weddings, and I know from experience, is a very hectic and time-consuming thing. It's like having another job, but like a really great job, a very rewarding job, but still a whole other job. So when you sign up for Zola, you get a free wedding website, which can kind of be a go-to place for all your wedding guests to find information about your wedding and the time and place, registration details, and all of that. They have all these custom designs that you can put together and a lot of like pre-made templates so that you can make a really nice looking wedding website without necessarily knowing anything about making a website. But I think the greatest part about Zola, and I know this from experience because I used it myself for my wedding, is the wedding registry. Instead of registering at one store where you're kind of limited by everything they have there, Zola picks from a lot of different merchants and some of your favorite brands, some of your favorite internet-based brands. You can get Brooklyn & Sheets on Zola. You can get OXO, Cuisinart, Sonos, Airbnb even. You can create a wedding fund. You can really customize your registry to be what you want it to be for your wedding. There's no cookie cutter weddings with Zola. So Night Call listeners, to start your free wedding website and also get $50 off your registry on Zola, go to zola.com/call. That's ZOLA.com/CALL. And once again, that's a free wedding website and $50 off your registry at zola.com/call.
12, 9, 20, 5, 14, 5, 18, 19.
But also on the plane.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
life is like an action thriller.
It is, isn't it? So on the plane, I think it was that on Alaska, you have to pay for Wi-Fi, but you can just get messages. So I couldn't do what I did last time, which was read 6 hours of the legal Reddit forums. And I found there's another great form of entertainment called watching a movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's really cool. You guys, so I watched a bunch of them. But the best one that I watched was The Fugitive, which I'd seen like 100 times, but for some reason it hit the spot so well. And I know that Molly also watched a good 90s film.
I've been watching a bunch of 90s. Well, one was a thriller. I watched The Firm for the first time.
The Firm is so good. The Firm is so good.
And I watched Scent of a Woman, which is not a thriller, but is...
It's a grown-up
It's a
drama
grown-up
for
90s
grown-ups.
movie.
And it's like 3 hours long.
It is all of these movies.
Well,
are
I
like
watched
3 hours long.
The Fugitive is 2.5, I think.
They're all 2.5.
Yeah.
I
And
think
it
I
feels
always
nice.
forget that Heat is 3 hours long. I was talking about watching Heat for this thing recently, but that's like a 3 hour. That's as long as Lord of the freaking Rings.
I'll tell you what I like to do with these movies is break them up into chunks and watch them over a few nights.
Oh, yeah. No.
Make
you
it a
can't do
mini-series.
that. You
I
can't
do that all the time.
Well, The
I don't
Fugitive,
like
of
that.
course, was originally a TV series.
Yeah.
60s. But I have to say, speaking of anagram names, we got actually a bunch of good anagram names in these movies because Cosmo Renfro is Joe Pantoliano's character's name in The Fugitive. And then in The Firm, we have Avery Tolar. Come on. That's an anagram.
Yeah.
What's it an anagram
What is an
for?
anagram of?
I don't know.
Somebody run that for us.
Yes, please. I didn't like Scent of a Woman.
When did you see it?
Like when it came out, I think.
I think you and Emily maybe both saw it when it came
I saw
out.
it.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw it. I think I saw it after it came out. It was on video.
But
It
I
was
was-
on VHS.
I was young, but I saw it
I was like
again.
in 8th grade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as a teenager, I
Yeah.
saw it again.
You saw it in the 90s.
Yeah, I
When
saw
it-
it in the late 90s.
And it won a bunch of Oscars, right?
Well, definitely,
Pacino
won an Oscar, and I think it was I think he won, but I don't know. I think it was nominated, but I don't know if it won.
I enjoyed it, everybody. I had never seen it before, and it
Hoo-ah.
was very... He says hoo-ah like 7
billion
different ways.
times, yeah.
He only says it 10 times in the movie.
No, it feels
but
like so many
each
more.
time he says it like, hoo-ah. It can mean different things.
Yeah.
And it makes more sense in the context of the movie because he's a colonel.
Yeah.
So he's saying like, oorah.
I had
Oh, right.
forgotten how he went blind. Which
He
then
went blind juggling grenades.
Juggling
Sorry,
grenades.
spoiler alert
Yeah,
for Scent
sorry,
of a
yeah,
Woman.
yeah.
It was just a much weirder and darker and stranger movie than I expected in every possible way.
Scent of a Woman was a remake also, right?
It was based
Yeah.
on an Italian novel, but apparently
No, I
has
think it was also made into I think it was an Italian movie.
Italian movie?
From the 70s, I thought.
everything.
I also was always grossed out. Like the idea, the scent of a woman.
It's a bad name for a movie.
But he's supposed to be gross.
I
He's
know.
not supposed to be like, it's not supposed to be romantic. He's like an old perv and he's like a horrible person and it's funny.
But I think there was the implication that you were supposed to like be kind of charmed by him.
Yeah,
I
totally.
was charmed by him when he was like, you ever just put your face in a woman's hair and dye in it?
No thanks. Also, I'm going to offer up my hot take, which is watching The Fugitive. I was like, wow, like most people really rooting for Harrison Ford in this movie. I'm rooting for Tommy Lee Jones.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you rooting for the one-armed man also?
No, I'm not rooting for the one-armed man. He had like a weird career thing. He was in Star Trek, which I was like, huh.
Wait, who is he on Star Trek?
I don't remember. The actor's
Star
name
Trek?
is Andreas Katsoulas. He was in like a few of them, I think. Like a few different iterations of Star Trek. I went deep. I was like, I need to know everything about The Fugitive because I'd seen it. Like I had watched it and kind of like not the mindset of paying much attention to it before because I find it a very like comforting movie.
These are all comfort food movies in some way.
But
You
like
can
the
just
most
throw 'em on.
ridiculous scene in The Fugitive is when it's like the flashback of like Celia Ward tossing rose petals in like a path up the stairs when Dr. Kimball is at his like benefit and she goes home early and she's like, oh, wait up. And then she does the whole like roses thing. And I love like seeing a woman in that trope of the like, it's so ridiculous.
Does he
grown
go
up
home, or
shit.
does he miss it from
grown
the
up shit.
benefit?
Oh, Molly.
I forgot.
Spoiler alert, she has the rose trail up to the bedroom. She's in the bedroom. One-armed man comes in. He starts murdering her. Harrison Ford comes home. Ends up
that's
in a
who
tussle.
killed his wife.
The one-armed man.
Who killed his wife.
It's really been a while since you've seen The Fugitive.
No, but again, it's like these are putting 90s memes in context,
Yeah.
you know?
Right,
like, we
yeah.
all know hoo-ah. We
Yeah.
all know the one-armed man. It wasn't me, it was the one-armed man. All these things, now they make sense. I feel like I knew The Firm from the rap supergroup, The Firm.
Ha!
You know?
Yeah, of course.
I didn't realize The Firm was crooked, and that
Yeah.
was the whole thing. But also, in the end, in The Firm, they all they really do is overcharge rich people, which is really not that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Possibly good, even.
I don't know. The best thing about The Firm is that it is like it has more plot than any movie ever. Like you forget there's so many important characters in The Firm.
There's like a billion side characters. Emily,
There's a
have you
billion
ever seen
side
The
characters.
Firm?
I've never seen it.
Oh, you should watch it.
No.
You
Well,
would
they
love
just
it.
actually, I started watching, this is the downfall of my style. I started watching it on Hulu and then on February 1st they took it off.
No.
So I had to buy it to watch the rest of it, which
Yeah.
I did. A fine film.
Well, I feel like that like zillion plot thing is something I remember a lot from movies that were like for grown-ups. When
Adapted
I was
from novels.
Yeah, and it was like, and I remember thinking, how does anybody write something like this? How does anybody like keep all this stuff in check? And now they don't do it. They just don't
No, they don't do
anymore.
it.
Like
Yeah.
they just
Well, now they're just like, if an idiot can't understand this.
right.
The Firm is very complex.
It is.
Huh.
And it's like certain things I feel like they don't provide any follow through. There's like some red herring plot things in there where you are like really spending a lot of mental
like what?
attention. I'm trying to remember. I was like looking back at, I think I looked at like the Ebert review or whatever from, when is it, from 93. So it's weird too because both The Fugitive and The Firm came out in 93, which is like,
Yeah, these
everyone
movies
talks
are
about
all
94.
just like no CGI.
Yeah.
Just like a bunch of grown-ups and
Yeah.
Chris O'Donnell
It's like
sometimes.
Dad has his solo movie night and he goes
Exactly.
out to the theater.
Movies for dads.
Yeah.
I
Like
would
us.
say
Dads like
my
us.
mom was way more into these movies than my dad.
Well, that's why I say dads like us. 'cause-
Yeah, exactly. Dads
Yeah.
like us.
Dad's like us.
I guess it's less
Put
that
that
they're
on a
red
shirt.
herrings, and it's more that you invest all this. I mean, it's like the minutia.
It feels like it's based on a novel, and like it's condensing a lot of things from a novel.
Right, like you're
into
going
a movie.
down
But
this
it's not?
path.
I thought it was.
It is.
Oh, it
is.
is. Okay.
Yeah,
But
it's a
it
Grisham
has
novel.
that feeling where you're like, this probably was like 300 more pages, and here they're making it like a 10-minute part of the movie. But
Exactly.
there is a whole like side thing involving David Strathairn and Holly Hunter.
Yeah,
as, like,
I thought
side-
it wasn't it Gary Busey?
He's also involved.
Yeah, he's involved too. And Holly Hunter's like the
Holly
secretary.
Hunter's in the movie for 5 minutes, but
Oh,
it's
wow.
the greatest 5 minutes of your life.
Well, in The
She was already,
Fugitive
like, a
too.
thing.
So Jane Lynch is in The Fugitive, which like what? As like
Okay.
a doctor. And Julianne Moore,
Julianne Moore
is like she's billed up there, but then she doesn't come into the movie until the very end, where it's
Weird.
like she would basically it's like a guest star on ER type role where she's like he has a broken
she's
sternum.
a doctor. She's literally
Yeah,
the
she's a
doctor who's like.
and then she's like, that guy saved that boy's life. And they're like, Kimball?
And then don't
He's
they
on
like
the
wheel
lam.
him away on the thing, and somebody like chases him on the hospital car?
But Harrison Ford is in the hospital and he's shaved, so nobody's recognizing him as Kimball. And he's just like, I'm a janitor. And they're like, here, take this boy up
he
to the.
steals a janitor's outfit. I remember this. I saw
Yep.
the movie for the first time like 2 years ago.
It's so good.
It was good.
But yeah, being on a plane, watching a movie, it's pretty great. Watched 3 in a row.
Yeah.
I also told Molly I watched Beautiful Boy. And
Really?
Yeah,
I haven't
I
even
did.
watched Beautiful
Well, let me
Beautiful
tell you
Boy.
this.
guys,
I was watching, I was watching Beautiful Boy, and like 25 minutes in, my mind was wandering. It's a good movie, but my mind started wandering, and I was just like, God, I think I'm like clinically depressed. I was like, this trip has really made me realize, like, 'cause I'm like on the way there, and I'm just like, this trip already has made me realize. I was like, I think like, I don't even know. Like, I've never felt this sad. Like, this is awful. And didn't connect it at all to the fact that I was watching a movie that is so depressing.
Yeah.
And then I turned on Can You Ever Forgive Me? I was like, I'm not depressed. I couldn't, because normally you
just
watch
need
like
a
a depressing
drink.
movie. Exactly. It's like watching a depressing movie at home. Like, you just are like in your, but on the plane, you're like riveted.
Yeah, you're
Can
really
you
in the
ever
world.
Forgive Me depressing?
I
Or
find
no?
it's
I thought it was-
dark.
It's dark, but it's like really funny.
I'm like not going to see Beautiful Boy until somebody forces me to, or I have to for work.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, why would I put myself through that? And there's like 4 movies this year about like white boys with drug problems and their parents are worried about them. And it's just like,
Wait, what are the other ones?
Ben is Back is
Okay.
Lucas Hedges,
Uh-huh.
and his mom is Julia Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another one that I'm forgetting about. There's like 3.
There's too many.
Yeah, there's too many. There's
Yeah.
just a lot. And they're all like, they're like movies about the opioid crisis, but like from a really privileged place.
Yes, yeah.
So
Remember in Traffic when they smoke meth in the first scene? Mm-hmm. I remember being like, this is crazy.
oh wait, you guys, I remember there's one movie that I saw at Sundance that I want to talk to you about.
Sure.
And I told you a little bit about this over text, but there's a movie there called Mope that is about this incident in 2009 in the Valley where a aspiring male porn star murdered a bunch of people at like a very low rent studio with a samurai sword and then jumped off a cliff. And it is like the story of that.
Wow.
Really, it had this guy. Oh, now I'm going to forget the name of the actor. Did you guys ever watch Misfits?
No.
Like the tall, like I think the first season.
Oh, so
like
it's
they're,
not
like,
a documentary?
No.
Oh,
it's
fictionalized
dramatized.
version
Yeah.
of it?
So it's like a super semi-modern day, like scuzzed out, like Boogie Nights basically, except without the success and with more murder. But it's like, I think that it was like an imperfect film, but it was, it did the thing of like, we're going to be bright shining stars one day. Because it was like this broken friendship between these 2 guys who wanted to like become stars in the porn industry as like the Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker of porn, like because it was like this Asian guy and this black guy, and they wanted to do like buddy porn movies together, but they were just terrible. Like they were very bad at their job, and then one of them lost his mind. But it was
That sounds so. Honestly, this movie sounds so depressing.
it is pretty depressing. Like it's pretty gross,
Tess
but it's
is only
also
watching upbeat comedies
Honestly,
about
it's true.
people who don't know their
Full
cats.
disclosure.
Though that's like one of the most upsetting things in any movie of of last year.
It was very, very
The
upsetting.
cat thing. And
I
Can
have
You
to
Ever
say,
Forgive
though,
Me?
so full disclosure, my mom is in Can You Ever Forgive Me did not influence me loving this movie. In fact, I had a screener of it and didn't watch it for a long time. I'm sorry, Mom. I had other stuff to do. But the cat thing, I have a very, very old cat. And when she was talking about her old cat and then she was like, he's 12, I was like, oh, get over yourself. I was like, they're really aging down this. This cat should have been a 25-year-old cat. The way that this cat was, like refusing to eat the shrimp, needing like 17
Right.
different medications. I know, Molly. Yeah, tread lightly.
It's hard for me.
Yeah. It's okay. There's a kitten at the end.
There was a cat in Velvet Buzzsaw that I was sure was going to get it, and it doesn't. It's one of the only ones that's spared because it doesn't try to profit off art.
They don't kick the cat.
Cats are okay.
Yeah.
So last night, I'm in Los Angeles, and one of my favorite things to do visiting Los Angeles is to go to Wi Spa, the Korean spa. And we actually got like a big group to go there last night, a few of our mutual friends, Molly and I. And it was one of the longest periods of time I've spent at Wi Spa because I think we were there for about 5 or 6 hours in total. But the time just sort of melts.
Tess, have you ever been to Wi Spa?
No, I'm a never nude.
Well, I feel like you would change your mind in this context.
I don't think so.
Well, sometimes somebody comes in wearing a swimsuit and everybody just gives them the stink eye.
Yeah,
That's why I'm not.
seeing
Molly's been pushing Wi Spa. I would have been tempted because you guys were going, but I had just gotten off a plane. But
It's great after a plane.
I
'cause
just
you're
I'm
all
a never
dehydrated.
nude. I'm like
It's
buy me
okay.
dinner first. Spa.
I would, though. There's a
yeah.
cafe.
Molly
on the
Yeah.
second
and Molly
floor.
met a friend outside
I
of
did.
Wi
Oh,
Spa
I
who
made
brought
a
her
really-
own crab.
Yeah, I made a really good friend outside. She was like a glamorous lady.
Yeah.
And she was like, just started talking to me, and she was eating.
from Mount Shasta or something.
She was like, oh, I've never been to this spa before. I'm used to the Mount Shasta, the more luxurious spas. But she was eating a whole Dungeness crab that she was like, oh, Whole Foods is having this great sale on crab. I bought a whole crab. I will say that friend of the podcast, Andrew T, often eats a whole crab as a meal, and I respect it so hard.
It's amazing.
Yeah, he was like, that thing where you have all those crab shells in your freezer that you use to make crab stock from all the crabs you ate for lunch? And I was like, no.
Where does Andrew get his crabs?
From-
Off the side note.
I think maybe Harbor Seafood, one of the big
Okay.
seafood markets. He will correct me on what it actually is when he hears this. Anyway, check it out.
We went to Wi Spa. So that was just like the amuse-bouche for our Wi Spa experience. But one of the great things at the Korean spas, I think several of them do this, but in the dry sauna and in some of the other areas as well, they have a TV on and they have it turned to like KBS or like whatever, like the Korean American TV station. And they happened to be playing the Korean Masked Singer on the TV, which we were shocked to learn is very different aesthetically.
Totally different. We speculated about it on this show a few weeks ago because the American version is very steampunk.
It's very rococo.
But the Korean version, the original version, turns out to be much more lo-fi.
It's like these paper masks. The one that I watched, it was they were two Disney princesses. Also, the copyright feels a little bit
That
like
part also,
shaky.
I was like, "Ooh, Disney princesses!
Yeah.
They are just going for it because it's
Yeah.
very clearly that's what it is."
But it was like it was a Jasmine versus Belle, and they were wearing these masks that are like they're very upsetting.
They're two-dimensional, like V for Vendetta masks.
They're flat, like paper masks, and the mouths are like huge, like Riddler smiles.
They're
like
terrifying.
Like
They're scarier because it's like a full body costume on the American version, but on the Korean version, it's like you're wearing
a dress,
a costume of the person that you're being. And so the one I saw was John Lennon versus Pavarotti.
So weird. But the mouth is, I think, the upsetting thing because it's like you can't. I'm doing like a huge mouth thing.
Open.
It's a gaping maw.
It's a screen so that because they hold the microphone. I think in the American one they have mics inside of the mask, but this one they just hold a mic, and so they have to like be able to project through this gaping maw hole. It's very
But so you guys liked this?
Yeah, it was great.
It was pretty great. But it did make me think, like, because the people that it ended up being, like, when one of them got unmasked, it was like, oh, she was in some pop group from a few years ago.
Yeah, we were saying, like, it made more sense because it was all, like, singers mostly, it seemed like.
Right. And
they
on
the
were,
American version, it's like Tori Spelling, like people
Right.
that aren't singers.
But
They're
there's
just sort
such
of D-listers.
Yeah, but there's such a backlog of former pop stars in Korea because like they go through these groups so fast because they have to like go for their military training. So there's like an end date. There's like a 4-year, 5-year period for all these groups, and so there's like a zillion people it could be like who's like, oh, I remember that person who like doesn't sing in a group anymore, but like I remember that they had this song or something, which is like a much different set of circumstances with which to like have possible mystery singers, like because there's so many mystery singers in Korea. I feel like it was really interesting,
And it was in the sauna.
It was in the sauna, and it was just like the best thing to watch when you're like through half-lidded eyes when you're just like sweating out everything. And it was at the same time we were there during the Super Bowl. So it was also the best thing to be watching instead of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was trying to miss the whole Super Bowl.
Because
but
of the
then-
Saints?
No, just because football.
Yeah.
And
Except for the Saints.
all that stuff is.
I don't like football, but this year I did feel like very invested in what happened with the Saints.
I know the Saints
And the
got
robbery.
screwed.
Yeah.
But ultimately.
Well, and it's
Fuck
so weird.
football.
Apparently, they had the lowest ratings ever this year, and it was like because it was like the first season with the Rams. I feel like somebody was saying, "Oh, like you're going to Los Angeles during the Super Bowl. There'll be so many like."
No, nobody cares about the
Nobody
Rams in Los
cares
Angeles.
here.
They
No,
just
they're-
got moved here.
And
They're
there's so
building
many more-
a new stadium in Inglewood that's like displacing a lot of residents.
No,
and
everybody
it's
hates
bad.
it, but also like there are more Patriots fans here because everybody moves here from Boston.
Guess where those people can go?
Yeah.
Ship it off.
Yep. So anyway, no to football. I feel like I did my time with football.
Well, then I
figured it
saw
out.
the Super Bowl on the co-ed floor, and I was like, no, there's like, and there were like all these dudes there to watch the Super Bowl, and I was like, stop ruining my spa experience.
Yeah.
of
Oh
sports.
no, it's like the best place to watch because nobody was making any noise.
No,
there.
but I went in the clay ball spa, which is like the spa with a million tiny clay balls that you roll
Which
out
some
in.
kids like took a bunch of the clay balls and dumped them all over the floor, and then they were throwing them at people. It was not cool.
There was just like everybody was just like laying back in the sauna watching the Super Bowl, and I was like, this sucks. And there was no way to face that you weren't facing that TV, and I was
Right,
like,
yeah.
ugh. Don't bring me into reality. I come here to be like away from reality
Right.
for 5 to 6 hours at a time.
I don't know. I was like, if there's any environment in which to watch that, I would like it to be without the sound and in a sauna. Like, just like it's happening off to the side. And I don't need to like build a party around it. But it was great. We saw Minor Bravo Celebrity at the Wii Spa, who
Emily
we won't name.
gasped
I
when
gasped
she saw this Bravo celebrity.
so loud, and this is not a person that anybody thinks that I would be gasping about. It's not a person on a current show nor a recent show.
But you guys are going to respect spa policy.
Yeah, we're
and
not
gonna
gonna
out this.
we're
person.
not gonna say who it was, but I'll just say that I was very excited. That's
You were
it.
very excited, and
Well, I was saying the only people that I actually
the other
gasped
topics
about.
in today's episode might provide a hint
Right? Yes.
as to who this Bravo celebrity was.
If you know me, you probably know who it is. The only people I've like genuinely freaked out about seeing in public were this person and this actor who's on. Do you guys watch Search Party?
No.
He plays like Aaliyah Shawkat's boyfriend. His name's John Reynolds, and he's just like somehow the most low key funny person I've ever seen on a show. Like, I mean, and he's on a show with like John Early and people who are like legitimately hilarious, but there's something about him that I just find to be so, I don't know what it is, just so funny. And I saw him at a party at Sundance last year, and I did the full-on thing that I never do with anybody, where I was like, "Can I take a selfie with you?" I had like had a couple drinks, and I was like, "I have to send it to my fiance."
I got really excited to see local celebrity Dennis Woodruff after the podcast. Was it last week? 2 weeks ago? Recently, on Melrose. who is a guy who makes his own movies and drives around in a car advertising those movies that he makes.
Is that the
Yes.
big trash car?
Yeah.
Okay.
He has pared
Yeah.
it down.
Oh.
I didn't even recognize him at first. He came in, I was in the Starbucks, and he came in and was like going around just asking people like, hey, are you a stoner? Are you then just going up to people? And he came up to me and he's like, are you a stoner? And I was like instinctively like, well, yeah. And he was like, well, you got to check out my new movie channel for stoners. I believe it's called stonermovies.com.
Amazing.
And then I was like, what's your name? And he was like, Dennis. And I was like, wait, are you Dennis Woodruff? I haven't seen you in years. And I was so excited. So maybe we'll get him on the podcast sometime.
Yeah,
That would
man.
be awesome.
He made a movie about aliens. And
Oh,
then
great.
He told me he had an abduction experience. Maybe he'll wish to share it with
please.
us.
100%. Please come
Yeah.
on the show.
But that was the person who I was like, he's sort of like the male Angeline. something.
Right, yeah.
And then when I looked it up, I found out this is very Who Weekly content. Shout out Who Weekly. I found out that Fergie and Josh Duhamel once went as Angeline and Dennis Woodruff to a party.
Are you kidding me?
wow.
That makes
Halloween.
me love
I know,
that.
their stocks just shot up.
Made me
Yeah.
mourn their love.
Yeah.
That's like night. I
know.
just flipped on them entirely. Holy cow. There's an Angeline billboard by where I'm staying in Hollywood, and I don't think I've seen one like so prominent and illustrious.
Yep.
In
It's
a
a
really
new
long
one.
time.
It's
a
great.
new one.
Guys,
Yeah.
I don't want to boast, but I did park next to Angeline 3 weeks ago at Gelson's. We parked right next to my beat-up Camry, and I was so excited.
That
And
is
I waved
exciting.
at her, and she waved back. And then my
my
daughter waved her,
God.
and she waved to my daughter. And then my daughter was like, when I grow up, I want a pink car just like that. lady." And I
Yes,
was like,
don't
yes,
we
you
all?
do. You too can be like Angeline, but not that much like Angeline.
Blessed by the angel of Hollywood.
Exactly.
Wow.
It was at the
Slash the Valley.
Gelson's, the former Mayfair in Franklin Village.
where it all
Gelson's
happens.
she frequents. Yes.
so great. Well, I think that does it for this week's night call. When you hear this, it'll be after our DJ show at Gold Diggers. But thank you for coming. If you came out,
It was so good to see
It
you
was
guys.
great to meet everybody.
What a fun time.
Just subscribe to our show on iTunes if you have not already. Follow us on Instagram at Night Call Podcast, Twitter, Night Call Pod, and Facebook at Night Call Podcast.
Also, please give us your stories.
Yeah.
Give us your pictures of airplane stairs. Give us your thoughts about your favorite 90s movie for dads like us. At
Pigeon stories.
Pigeons.
pigeon
But
lice
let's
stories.
be nice to pigeons, okay? Because I
I
really
respect them. So
now they're
much.
my
I
they're my
respect
people
the
now.
birds so much because I've had a couple of bird encounters recently. We can talk about this next
They're
week.
We will-
smarter than we thought.
I'm actually it really like the Fergie and Josh Duhamel thing. This experience,
Isn't it
I was like, I actually
Duhamel?
do like
a
birds.
newfound
Duhamel.
respect.
It's
Duhamel.
like bechamel.
yeah,
I
yeah.
assume.
All right.
Chanel.
Yeah. Give us a call, 240-46-NIGHT, or an email at nightcallpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll see you next time.
See you next
Bye.
time.